Rosa had been a lawful permanent resident, a green card holder, for 11 years. She flew to see her mother in Colombia, the same trip she made every year. When she landed back in Miami, a CBP officer looked at her passport and said, "Please come with me." She spent 6 hours in a secondary inspection room answering questions about her bank accounts, her job, her social media, and whether she really considered the U.S. her home. Traveling on a green card in 2026 is not what it used to be. And there's one document that CBP officers can put in front of you in that room that ends your permanent residency right at the airport. Green cards do not expire at the border. Your legal status as a permanent resident does not disappear because you travel. But the right to re-enter the United States is not the same as automatic re-entry, and under the current administration, Customs and Border Protection has been scrutinizing returning lawful permanent residents at a level that most green card holders have never experienced before. If you have a green card and you're planning international travel, or if you have already traveled and you are anxious about coming back, this video is for you. Let me tell you what is actually happening. CBP has always had the authority to screen returning permanent residents. That authority is not new. What has changed is how aggressively they are using it. The current administration has directed border officers to treat every re-entry, including by permanent residents, as an opportunity to verify that the person genuinely intends to maintain the U.S. as their primary home. More green card holders are being sent to secondary inspection than at any recent point. More are being asked detailed questions about their finances, their family, their online presence. Some are being asked to sign documents. That is where the danger is. Secondary inspection is an additional screening process. You are taken to a private room at the airport or a port of entry. Being sent there does not mean you did anything wrong, and it does not mean you are being deported. But what you say and do in that room, and what you do and do not sign, matters enormously. Let me tell you what gets people flagged. Time outside of the United States is the most common trigger. If you have been outside the country for more than 6 months at a time, that raises questions about whether you have abandoned your residency. If you have been outside for more than 12 months without a re-entry permit, federal law creates a presumption of abandonment, a legal assumption that you gave up your green card. Even a pattern of shorter trips where you are abroad more than you are home can raise the same concern, because the question CBP is asking is, does this person actually live here? Your ties to the U.S. are the second factor. A home in the United States, U.S. tax returns filed as a resident, employment here, your immediate family living here. These are the things CBP is looking for. If you have been living primarily overseas and maintaining a card as a formality, that inconsistency tends to surface at the border. Prior criminal convictions, outstanding immigration issues, or previous removal orders will make the encounter significantly more serious. And in 2026, CBP has access to far more background data than most people realize. Inconsistencies between what you have said on immigration forms and what is visible in public record or online have been used to challenge traveler status. Has any of this happened to you or someone you know? Drop a comment. I want to hear from people you have actually been to a secondary inspection. Now I want to tell you about the document I mentioned at the beginning. The one that CBP can put in front of you in a secondary inspection room. It is called Form I-407. Form I-407 is titled Record of Abandonment of Lawful Permanent Resident Status. Signing it means you're voluntarily surrendering your green card. It is one of the most consequential documents in U.S. immigration law, and its effects are nearly irreversible. CBP officers are legally permitted to present this form to you. They are permitted to recommend that you sign it, particularly if they believe you have abandoned your residency. They may tell you that signing will let you leave the airport and return home without further complications. That may be true, but you will be leaving without your permanent residency. You are not required to sign Form I-407. Even if CBP believes you have abandoned your green card, you have the right to have that determination made by an immigration judge, not by a port of entry officer after 6 hours in an inspection room. Your due process rights do not disappear at the airport. Do not sign the document. If an officer takes your physical green card, that does not end your legal status. Request an added stamp in your passport or a Form I-94 showing your status. Your rights as a permanent resident exist independently of the card itself. Here's what to do before you travel. If your trip will last more than 6 months, file for a re-entry permit before you leave. That is Form I-131. It must be filed before your departure and approved before you leave. You cannot file it from abroad. A re-entry permit allows you to stay outside the U.S. for up to 2 years without triggering the abandonment presumption. If you're planning a long trip, this is not optional. When you travel, carry documentation of your ties to the United States, U.S. tax returns, a lease or mortgage in your name, bank statements, employment records, your U.S. driver's license. The goal is to be able to answer the question CBP is asking. Does this person actually live here? Before they decide the answer for you. And if you have risk factors, a prior criminal matter, a history of extended trips abroad, time spent working or living overseas, talk to an immigration attorney before you book the flight, not when you land back in Miami and get tapped on the shoulder. Before you leave, if you got your green card through your marriage to a United States citizen and you want to understand what USCIS is scrutinizing most heavily right now in that process, I made a video walking through the marriage-based green card process in 2026. Watch that one next. And if you have specific concerns about your travel situation or your permanent residency status, our contact information is in the description.